Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Ready for some new stories? Let's go to the first one, about kind-hearted OP and her friendship with her ex-husband's mistress he left her for. Yep, you heard it right guys. Listen to the story to find out how and why they became friends, and of course, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, don't forget to leave a comment. In 2013, I was a very happy 40-year-old stay-at-home mom, convinced I was married to the perfect man. In 2014, I was a divorced single mom scrambling to figure out how to make ends meet, as the perfect man was pulling every dirty legal trick available in order to get me to sign the divorce that was happening, because he'd been having an affair with his 26-year-old rock climbing partner. I held firm on the divorce settlement demands, started my own landscaping business, and got very fortunate and became self-sufficient. X had 2 kids with his new wife, who I was reluctant to admit were my own kid siblings. Back in mid-March, my kids and I were at the grocery store when a little girl came running across the parking lot at us. It was their little sister, and she is so fortunate she hadn't been run over. We grabbed her up and took her to where she said her mom was parked, and ran into the woman who had ruined my marriage. But she looked exactly like I looked when I found out he'd been cheating on me. Distraught, on the verge of tears and a breakdown. I asked her if she was okay, and I knew she was lying when she said yes. I didn't want to interfere, but told her how her 4-year-old was loose in a parking lot and gave her my number if she needed anything. Within the hour, she had called me and said she was sorry for what she had put me through, as he was now leaving her for another woman. I told her that was the distant past at this point, and I was worried about both her and her kids. My kids watched her kids that night, and we went out for dinner and drinks and realized that we had a lot in common, aside from being screwed over by the same guy. We have since become good friends, and since my ex-husband is literally working out of the same playbook he used on me, I've hooked her up with my divorce attorney. I've coached her on what rope she can give him to hang himself, and now, since he's been an absolute jerk about cutting her and the kids off to barely sustenance, allowance, I've given her a job and helping her out with childcare expenses. My ex is apologetic because I think he thought he was going to run over her in the divorce. He's threatening to revisit our child support arrangement because I'm actually making more money than he is now, and I told him to bring it on, but he really wants me to back off helping her. His mom and sister have told my kids that I am poisoning the well against their dad and undermining him as a father. They have literally called me an a-hole to my kids and hers, and are clearly trying to paint me out as the bad guy in all of this. I get a sick sense of satisfaction knowing that he's going to get screwed in 2 divorces. But I also genuinely like his soon-to-be ex-wife. Independent of how we came to be friends, she will stay my friend after all is said and done. Am I the a-hole here? Well, OP is definitely not an a-hole here, but a saint. No one on the outside of a relationship can completely understand what happens in it, and every story has 2 sides. That said, it's no one's business who OP makes friends with, and if OP owns her own business, then she gets to decide who to hire. But OP should not intentionally make the kids hate their father. If he's truly the a-hole as OP says he is, they'll figure it out on their own. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Imagine the mammoth says, not the a-hole at all. You are helping someone that most people will tell you you have no obligation to help. Of course, his family is going to call you names and take his side. It's ducked up, but it happens. But they are completely in the wrong to tell your kids. One does not involve kids in their parents' problems, and you should consider what you can do to limit the time your kids spend with his family, as long as it doesn't hurt your children, of course. Tazleon says, not the a-hole. I had a similar experience with my ex-husband's now fiancé. He cheated on both of us and cheated on me with her. She messaged me last year and told me the situation, and I tried to help her as best I could. He tried to get us to stop talking, but she essentially told him to shove it. My only word of caution or advice is that you need to look after yourself too. I found that helping her reopened some old wounds for me, so make sure you're putting your own mental health first. If you need a break, take a break. I am the dark agent says, not the a-hole, and don't worry about the child support threat. It's based on him paying a % of his income, regardless of who earns more. I say this from experience, as I was the custodial parent receiving child support from my ex-wife, despite earning 4 times what she did. My sister, Julie, 42, was married to Jeff, 48, for 10 years. They have a daughter, 12 female, that was the result of multiple rounds of fertility treatment and stress. My sister definitely had difficulties of her own, But I always had a sense that the problem was partly Jeff, even though they never acknowledged it, and it was always we. They divorced 4 years ago, in part because Jeff wanted another kid, and Julie was over it because he wasn't pulling his weight with the kid they already had, and she didn't want to do more fertility treatments. Jeff initiated the divorce, but Julie wasn't too broken up about it, and frankly, I wasn't either. I found Jeff to be controlling, narcissistic, unsupportive, even emotionally manipulative partner. He was also having an affair. Julie married this guy Mike, who is a great guy and a fantastic stepdad to their daughter. She got pregnant at 40 while they were engaged. Whoops. And she's now pregnant again at 42. Mike is a stay-at-home parent, and their marriage is a lot healthier, which is part of the reason why Julie was open to more kids. Meanwhile, Jeff and his 28-year-old former affair partner turned wife still don't have any kids. I don't know if they're privately doing their 90th round of IVF or on adoption wait lists, or have given up, but he's visibly bitter about 42-year-old Julie having kids, so make of that what you will. Anyone with vague knowledge of history can probably see where this is going. We were at a party for their daughter at my parents' house, and I was talking to Mike's sister. She said something about Jeff's wife not being there and implied they might not last much longer, since they always seem to be having problems. I said something like, "Oh, you know how it goes. Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived." Unfortunately, Jeff came around the corner and had overheard us. He was pissed and got up in my face about it and called me an a-hole. He clearly understood the reference, but still accused me of threatening his wife and joking about violence against her. He also took it as a jibe about apparent infertility, which to be fair it was. My sister de-escalated and Jeff left. After, I told her what I'd said, and she said I shouldn't have started crap with him, even if I wasn't trying to be overheard. I told her that Mike's sister's comment was just as bad, and Jeff only got mad at me because I'm a dude he actually knows. And my sister said to just stop being an a-hole, because it was literally a below-the-belt remark, and I shouldn't joke about something Jeff took so personally. She blamed me for ruining her daughter's party, and I felt really guilty at that. Unlike my sister, my parents at least thought it was a good joke, but agreed it was my fault and want me to apologize to Jeff to keep the peace. Mike's sister said Mike is mad at her too, for starting it and laughing at my joke. I think OP should keep the peace for his sister's sake. OP doesn't really know anything about her relationship with Jeff, or Jeff's relationship with his current wife, so should just stay out of it. And making fun of someone's fertility issues is a little uncool. I also feel bad for OP's poor niece. It's a solid joke though. Romanov 1918 says, "I think what you said was hilarious actually. Too bad he overheard you. I don't think you're the a-hole though, just not good at being discreet." Vintage Said says, "Even if you were the a-hole, and you were not, you have my vote for a Henry VIII reference." He overreacted to a joking comment, and he seems a little too precious. He ruined the party by flouncing off. Was it a little below the belt? Yes, but you didn't intend for him to hear it. And to suggest you were threatening his wife because of the reference is ridiculous. Not the a-hole. I'm 55 male, retired after getting really lucky with investments. I'm not rich, but me and my wife have more than enough to live comfortably for the rest of our lives. My nephew, 24 male, has been putting himself through an ordeal this year, trying to hold on to his job, while also proposing and planning a wedding with his lovely girlfriend, while also planning to buy a house. After doing the math on his purchase, due to HOA rules, he needed another $35K in cash to close the deal. As soon as I heard about this, I offered to lend him $50K interest-free as a wedding gift. I told him he can pay it back whenever he can. I know Reddit has a thing about not lending to family, but he's a good kid, and he's good for it, no question. My nephew, his soon-to-be wife, and my brother have all called me to thank me for the gift. To be honest, I'm happy to help out the new couple, so it's not a big deal. My sister-in-law, on the other hand, is not so sanguine. She called me this morning to tell me the couple has an online wedding registry, and I told her I already gave the couple my gift. She got very upset with me and told me that a loan is not a gift, since I'll eventually get all the money back. I told her that it is a gift because, 1, the loan is interest-free, whereas with a bank over 30 years, they'd probably pay $25K in interest. My nephew doesn't need to spend the money. The HOA just insists he have it in cash. Don't ask. He intends to invest it and should be able to grow it in the coming years. Eventually, he can return the principal and keep all the gains. 2, they couldn't buy the house without the money, so part of the gift is the ability to buy their dream house. 3, The couple is happy with their gift. Even still, my sister-in-law took the opportunity to call me miserly and cheap and insisted I actually spend some money to buy the couple a gift. At first, I thought she was wrong, but then I thought maybe she has a point. In the sake of family peace, I purchased a few things off the registry. But am I the a-hole for initially only giving the loan? In my opinion, the most important part here is that the couple is happy with the gift. I think OP is being incredibly generous. OP is not giving them a physical gift, sure, but he is gifting them a head start on their future. The gift is between OP and the young couple, and is none of sister-in-law's business. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Plantin' Concrete says, "Not the a-hole. I take an interest-free $50K loan over a silverware set as a wedding gift in a heartbeat." Beantown Regular says, "Not the a-hole. The audacity to call you cheap after giving her son a $50K loan to buy a new house. I thought this was going to be a post about them being annoyed you didn't consult them first, but she's just upset because she wants you to buy her kid a second gift. I'm not sure why you'd even think you're the a-hole here, but rest assured you're not." This one is Cozy says, "Not the a-hole, but your sister-in-law is. Your loan was a gift. Even though you expect the principal balance back eventually, you gifted them open-ended deadline with no interest and, as you said, the ability to buy their home. Without your loan, they wouldn't have their home, period. Your sister-in-law has a very entitled attitude, in my opinion, to think that a $50,000 loan isn't enough of a gift. I'm glad your nephew and his wife were appreciative, and good on you for helping out family like that." My ex-wife and I had very different views about spending money. After the birth of our daughter 3 years back, she started spending a lot of unnecessary money. I tried having discussions with her about budgeting, but she refused, saying that all of it was necessary for her. Some of the expenses were definitely necessary, such as a mother's helper, maid, cook, etc. And I had no problem with those kinds of expenses that would help her recover from childbirth. But there were others that were purely unnecessary and lavish, such as shopping, etc. It all reached a breaking point when she paid for her brother's college tuition from our joint account, without even asking me if I was okay with it. I divorced her, and we got equal custody of our daughter along with me having to pay child support because our daughter was still very small. I had to also give her half of my business. I didn't want to run a business with her, so I sold my business and gave her half the money. I started a new business on my own, and it's doing pretty well now. Today, when I went to my mom's birthday party, my ex-wife was also present. My ex-wife was a family friend, so she is still close to my parents despite our divorce. After dinner, I and my brothers were watching a movie. At that time, my mom came to me and told me she wants to speak to me in private. We stepped out of the house and my ex-wife was waiting for us there. My ex said that she lost all the money that she received from me upon divorce because her investments failed. She said that if I'd been more mature by running the business with her instead of selling it off and protecting just myself, she wouldn't have been in this position now. She said that she's been evicted from her apartment and doesn't have the money even for a hotel room, and told me that since I caused this, I should let her stay with me in my house. I refused and told her that she can leave our daughter with me for the time being and go stay with one of her friends or something. She started crying, and my mom said I should be more kind to my ex, considering she's a close family friend. Am I the a-hole? Edit. She got close to about $300,000 in the final divorce settlement, including everything. Underdog Lex says, "Nah, duck that noise. This is your time to strike. I would get a lawyer and fight for custody. There's no way a woman that demonstrates that she is irresponsible with finances should be able to still have custody. She's not fit to take care of the child. Don't feel bad for her. I guarantee that if the roles were reversed, they would tell you to deal with it. Tell her to figure it out, not the a-hole." AMZ95 says, Not the a-hole. You sold off your business and gave her half, which she was entitled to, though I will never agree with that. After that, it's on her. I know there will be comments about how she's your child's mom, but you've offered to keep your child, so your daughter would be safe with you while she finds accommodations for the both of them. That's really as much as you need to do. If your family thinks that you're being unfair, they can offer her a place to stay. Average Height 5'10" says, "Not the a-hole. You're paying child support. She got half the business, and you sold your half of it and gave her the money from it. Her inability to manage her finances, regardless of how she lost the money, is not your problem or responsibility. There are all kinds of programs that she can apply to for housing, food, etc., assistance." So, our dad, my sister's stepdad, and my biological dad recently died. Last year in particular. My sister is old and got married about 2 years ago. And way before she got married, she lived with her husband, then boyfriend. Now, my father left the house to me. I have an older brother who I still live with, and we have decided to sell the house because we eventually plan to start our own lives in the future. We're still both in uni, and I'm doing my final year, and he is finishing his honors. So the thinking is, we no longer have to keep the house, because it is in a rather jobless area, and if we are to find work, we would have to move to an entirely different state. So we want to get rid of all ties, such as property from another state. Now, once the house is sold, we need to buy a new one elsewhere, obviously, or get an apartment, flat. But my sister insists that we share the money we get from selling the house with her, because she also grew up in that house. But the money is designated for yet another house, and splitting it would not help those losing a home. She already has her own house with her husband and kids, and we would be left stranded after selling the house. She is also moving to another state because of a job, and would not even be there when we are homeless. She claims we are selfish for this decision. Are we? Should the money be split among the siblings? Edit. I should also mention that the new house we are buying is so that my mom could come live there. She is currently living with my aunt's daughter, whose mom recently passed, so she is looking after her. Edit 2. My mom gave us permission to sell the house because she also thinks the location of the house is an inconvenience. Ecstatic Media says, "Not the a-hole. Your dad left it to you. He could have left it to her as well if he wanted, but he didn't. He was your dad, her stepdad. Not the a-hole. Don't give her a penny." Throwaway07 says, "Not the a-hole. It sucks for her, but she isn't living in the house at the time of the provisional sale. And if I'm reading correctly, the house was left to you only, and you permitted your elder brother to live there. If that's wrong, please let me know." Ravenclaw EC says, "Not the a-hole. The house is yours. Therefore, the decision on what to do with the sale money is yours only. You are being generous in including your brother and planning on taking care of your mother, and that's more than enough. Your stepsister can be as mad as she wants and still is not entitled to a dime.